Yes, that's right. They're on the 6th floor.
Okay.
We'll arrange for someone to come down and get you.
Okay.
And bring you up.
Well, I don't know.
Quayside facilities and equipment, and the expertise within the university, and gradually over time that's morphed into expertise in subsea engineering, ROVs, pipes, high-tech pipes that are used to control information and flows to oil wells. So that's the sort of city itself. I mean, in terms of the council and our role, so we now believe, and we've believed for a number of years actually, that the council has quite a strong role in promoting the economy and trying to create the conditions for growth. So actually making Newcastle working city is one of the council's top 4 objectives. So alongside, if you like, some more sort of traditional local authority, local government objectives. And the way that our strategy works really is based on 4 key principles. Try and remember them. You should never say 4, should you? Try and do them. But, so the first one really is about trying to grow the knowledge economy. So traditionally, as a city, we've relied on sort of competing on the basis of cost, and I guess sort of going back, even to the manufacturing days when some of that manufacturing was relatively low value added. And what we were trying to do, not surprisingly, is to move up the food chain. Strengthen knowledge economy and compete on that basis. Related to that, the importance of skills, and that's both growing and retaining skilled people within the city, but actually also trying to increase the number of skilled people who come into the city is important to us. Thirdly, around our sort of perception around the knowledge economy is that it's developing most strongly in the city centre, and that's where most of the digital firms are. It's where the kind of knowledge economy is based, and so actually, and we feel that's what sort of marks Newcastle out from other places. It's a very attractive city centre, quayside area, and that's what makes sort of Newcastle different to a sort of provincial town out of sort of town business parks. So we're trying to invest in the city centre, and if anything, actually to drag businesses back, so to reverse the process of suburbanisation. And the idea is bring them back into the city centre so they can interact more together, and that will strengthen the knowledge economy, and actually also in terms of sort of relates to the skill side of things, people will be more attracted to sort of living and working in a kind of more vibrant environment. And then the fourth of our sort of areas, which is perhaps a bit less relevant to this, to the core building anyway, is around sustainability and to some extent environmental sustainability, but also in terms of economic sustainability and making sure that the jobs are accessible to all.
So, I mean, some of the things, so the blue here, so this is the university's first building, which will be constructed and ready for fit out in operation in 2017. In the meantime, the university wants a presence on the site, so they'll build an interim structure, a fabric structure, which will be located somewhere around here. The university has options on 2 other sites in addition to this first one here. So this is possibly going to be a teaching and conferencing facility of some description. And then the third university project investment, that's still for deliberation as to which faculties, which departments in the university will move on to there. And as Rob said, they're split into zones, and phase 1 has really been about the enabling works of the site, de-risking the site, with public sector money going into the site of a tune of about 100 million to date. So phase 1 has happened, and now really it's around phase 2 and what we do in terms of the residential aspects of the site, some of the commercial aspects of the site as well. Examples of case studies, but actually working with companies, and companies are using the site, using the resources on the site as a sort of the living lab concept, developing new products, technologies, services on this site, and using the site as a sort of a microcosm really to then scale up larger than just using this site. So some of the partners we have on the site include companies like Siemens that have rolled out a smart grid project with Northern Power Grid. We're talking to Northumbrian Water around sort of management of surface water. So we actively, as well as all those things that Rob said, we actively want more industrial collaborative partners to talk to us around using the site and working with the university and the council. So, sorry, just to...
Yeah, that's great. So that's still where we are. I mean, I'm more than happy to answer any questions about the site or some partnership, or sort of discuss potential opportunities for sort of linkages and your role. I sort of see that you're based in Manchester, and presumably you have agreements across the whole of the north of England at the moment.
What we are looking at these days, apart from the things which, as I said, improving bilateral trade in the commodities areas, what we are looking for the market, capturing market in UK in the services areas. That is, as you said, knowledge-based services based in the IT sector, the accounting, law, the health sector. So these are the areas which we are looking at exploring opportunities, providing skilled workforce at competitive market prices. And we've already got lots of skill for workforce in those areas, and especially the two countries, Canada and Australia, are really taking advantage of that, tapping that market through their highly skilled migrant and professional migrant programs. But they are, since they've got the capacity to absorb, they are bringing them physically. But in a bit mature economies like UK, what they are doing, they are actually utilizing, outsourcing their work requirements. And they are importing virtual skilled workforce. If we could organize a conference or a workshop on this, in which we could exchange our potential of this kind of trade exchange and the requirements which I will bring in my strength, and you should express your requirements so that we can think of the possibilities of trade off in these areas.
Well, I think that would be absolutely fantastic, and there's no one from the university here today, but it would be also useful to think about academic linkages as well, and and I don't know.
And that can be done both ways. Like we can bring in delegation here and make that exchange of information as well, and we can take delegation from here to
I think even smaller business. I mean, ourselves. We have an online department. We employ about 7 people in our online department. Online is quite strong for us, very, very strong actually, especially over the last couple of years. We've become very big online, and we outsource the majority of our work to places like India and Pakistan, actually, rather than given to anyone in England, because generally there's a shortage of skills, and the skills that there are here, obviously cost a lot of money.
So it's about getting that balance really, because we need to support obviously.
So obviously we have a number of employees here, that actually, generally do the analysis work, and then the rest of the actual programming gets done out there and gets brought back. It's very much virtual, as you know yourself. I think a similar sort of thing here, where there's a lot of small businesses, who can outsource the work.
I think it's definitely worth exploring.
So Punjab, if there is like, I don't know, a science city out there, there's something similar. So I'm presuming, it'd be like a smaller, I don't know, like a little Silicon Valley type of thing, where you've got 1,000 programs sitting there already, so they can collaborate and work together. And where here, they do all the analysis work, and all the rest of the work can be done out there. So there's definitely some linkages, I think.
How does that operate? Do you sort of tap into a resource out there, or do you have so 1 or 2 employees who are your employees?
We just tap into so we have companies that we work with out there who on a regular basis, and obviously it's a trial and test method. Initially we tried a few companies, and eventually we sort of stuck to. There's 2 companies pretty much that we work with, based in the south of Pakistan, Karachi, and we just regularly work with them.
The second floor, the university has its CPED centre, which is Continuing Professional Executive Development, so all of the Newcastle University's training and skills programmes will be delivered from the second floor. And just while on the university, the 7th floor, as Rob said, is occupied by the School of Computing Sciences, so they've established the Cloud Innovation Centre on the 7th floor, and that's in partnership with a number of companies, Red Hat being one of them. And then the remainder of the building, as I said, is occupied by businesses, and including Newcastle Science City, which take up the 6th floor. So, brand spanking new building, the first hopefully of many.
Interesting. I'm dealing with there's 4 companies that I'm dealing with on the boundaries. I'm selling 4 sites, 4 different sites, and there's investment coming in from London investors who are looking to buy these sites and turn them into student accommodation. And values, I've just seen the values rocket over the last 24 months. They just went through the roof. Really, I think we're dictating. The last one that I've been involved with is £7,000 a room. So the price guys, so we'll be working on numbers of 300 beds, working at 1.9, 1.2 million pounds for the site.
That's site value.
Yeah,
That's just the segment.
just site value. Obviously.
So there's huge investment opportunities.
There's a Malaysian client. We've had a Malaysian client who's just offered on a site. I think we're about to break the barrier of how much per bed. He's offered 11,000 per room. So if I get that transacted, I'm probably going to break the barrier on the price. So I'm looking forward, to get that deal nailed, because obviously if I nail that deal,
Keen to see how we can pick up the conversations. And obviously Ammar is based in Manchester, so I think it would be really, really useful to have sort of a formal conversation about how and what the links we can establish, and the ones that are already established, both ways from an economic point of view, both from a service but equally a commodity sector as well, to see what we can do to work together, because actually the Pakistani community is very, very well integrated and established within Newcastle and the wider northeast. And I'm sure I can speak on everyone's behalf when we say we're dead proud of this place, and equally the history and heritage and culture and the positive aspects of Pakistan. So this is just the start of hopefully many things to happen. Ben and Robin, I think some of the things potentially exploring are the opportunities to bring more trade from equally the businesses sat around this table as well, to further support those initiatives. And Karen, you've done quite a lot of work around engagement, and as the engagement manager, do you just want to very quickly talk about your role and how you've managed to bring people together and be really critical to the success of engagement?
Yeah, I think what we've learned over the years as well, especially when science and technology and engineering, and you're talking about those kinds of skills, but the farthest removed from that kind of work and following those education pathways was always to kind of really show the relevance of the science and the technology and engineering to all aspects of life, so not just work and not just high levels of work, but to also point out that it's just important to your everyday life, and that every time people in the city see labs being built, if that's the next building to go up here, or if there's a cloud computer centre of excellence and they think, well, what's that got to do with me? It's all of the additional jobs that surround that and relate to that. So we know research shows that in here, for every computer technologist and every electrical engineer and everyone else who's working in here, to make this building and their companies work, there's about 4 non-related science jobs, and that's everything from accounting right down to logistics and delivery and providing other services. So it's been really important to work with people in pockets of the city of extreme deprivation, and you're farthest removed from progressing through higher level skills to those kind of high level STEM jobs, to point out.
Growth, so actually making Newcastle Working City one of the council's top 4 objectives, so alongside, if you like, some more sort of traditional local authority, local government objectives. And the way that our strategy works really is based on 4 key principles. Try and remember them. You should never say 4 should be 1. Try and do them. But
Yes, that's right. They're on the 6th floor.
Okay.
We'll arrange for someone to come down and get you.
Okay.
And bring you up.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Quayside facilities and equipment, and the expertise within the university, and gradually over time that's morphed into expertise in subsea engineering, ROVs, pipes, high-tech pipes that are used to control information and flows to oil wells. So that's the sort of city itself. I mean, in terms of the council and our role, so we now believe, and we've believed for a number of years actually, that the council has quite a strong role in promoting the economy and trying to create the conditions for